Hello, everybody. We'll give this a couple more seconds as this is our first, hands-on specific session, where, as you can see, you'll have access to turn on your camera and microphone should you need to, because we'll be doing some hands-on activities during this. So feel free to participate, and there'll be ample time for Q&A, questions, troubleshooting, stuff like that. So welcome, and we'll get kicked off here in 2 seconds. And yes, Caitlin or Jim, if you're able to see, I know I just spotlight my camera, but can you able to see the presentation I'm sharing in a main window?
Yes.
Cool.
So we see your face and then we see your presentation main screen.
The second one is much more important. So thank you.
I don't know. Your mustache was called Majestic, so
Well, that guy needs a broader vocabulary. Well, awesome. Well, it's about time, so let's go ahead and get started here. Welcome to the talk. Today's talk is Don't Mesh with Texas, Building Resilient Off-Grid Networks. My name is John Owen. I am the Director of Security and Data Analytics for Fulcrum. I like all things data. I have a passion for cybersecurity education. And then you may see me around cars, golfing, 3D printing, random AI stuff, or tinkering with electronics that I probably shouldn't. So, kind of starting out, we've seen many large, impactful environmental situations throughout the world. One notable one that's relevant for today's conversation is in 2025 in September, when Berlin had a massive blackout. This cut power, cell service, internet service, kind of in our new technical digital age, ensued chaos, right? In response to that, there were over 100 noted civilian and citizen deployed Meshtastic nodes. They turned them on, connected them. Some were already pre-existing, but what this did is established a 140-kilometer communication network that expand the entire city. This is completely off-grid and separate, but the network facilitated coordination for things like evacuation routes, safe zones, essential support, water, food, and other necessities, particularly for the most vulnerable. This was like for like Meshtastic has been around since about 2020, but this is truly the first kind of test in a real life scenario of how a community driven mesh network can support vital lifelines during a natural disaster. Um, Here in Texas, we've been through our own, I guess, weather events, as we'll call them, right? So Winter Storm Uri in 2021, 4.5 million Texans without power. Cellular and internet networks were failing either from cut communications from the actual weather itself or from actually being overloaded. This impacted the ability for, life-saving coordination to occur. And in 2024, we saw Hurricane Helene, but we actually saw some community involvement at this point. About 120 Meshtastic radios were used and deployed for search and rescue during the hurricane and just after in recovery. This was vital off-grid communication because, again, there's not a lot of groundwork there at the time for communications and power. There's also backing on the Android tactical kit as well, which provides additional Android-specific GPS communication. So today we'll talk a little bit about current, communities directly here as it applies to us in Texas, but there's also obviously broader communities across the nation that supports this. So today, what are we going to do? We're going to flash the Meshtastic firmware to our Heltec V3 devices. I'll go over what that device is in a minute, but it's in a probably little red box if you want to go ahead and grab that. We'll configure your own personal node. We're going to join our private mesh channel that we have for FCON 2025. And hopefully we'll be able to send and receive encrypted messages, depending on if you're close enough or have internet connectivity on your phone. There's over 40,000 global nodes, rough number, honestly, but depending on what you look at, but tens of thousands of nodes deployed globally. Some may be in your backyard. So Before we get into the hardware things, let's go a little bit about what Meshtastic is. We've gone over, how it can maybe be used, but at its heart, Meshtastic was created in 2020 by Kevin Hester. It is 100% community driven, over 300 active developers. There's zero infrastructure required outside of the, power delivery to the small board itself. So no cell towers, no internet required. These are extremely low power devices. How this works is your device is the original sender. So if you do send a message, it originates from your device. It sends out to the mesh of nodes we call relay nodes. This is done automatically, but as it traverses the mesh network, it will finally be relayed to its final recipient, the receiver of the message. By default, there's a 3-hop limit for these messages that is configurable. But again, this is every device strengthening this broader mesh network. This uses low frequency radio in the 902 to 928 megahertz spectrum. Here in the United States, it's like high 800s in the EU. So there are different antenna to just, if you do get into this, be aware that you'll have to actually track down the frequencies to make sure that you can operate in the region that you're located in, or if you travel abroad. The typical range for these devices is somewhere in 5 to 10 kilometers. I mean, I've seen this very, very tiny to like half a kilometer in very densely populated areas in like city centers and stuff. But line of sight can extend beyond 50 kilometers. Again, line of sight you'll see kind of come up as a very important thing. If you can get this antenna really high up in the air, you will definitely extend your range and in, again, low power. From power consumption perspective, these can last day to week on a single battery. I have some devices I'll show you here. This is a small MagSafe one that I just plopped to the back of my phone. It has a Meshtastic node in it. This lasts about a week without charging. So it's good to have as well. And encryption, you can go up to AES 256-bit encryption. It also supports 128-bit as well as some lower and public frequency as well. If you just want to communicate over the public message bus. There's no license required for standard operating use. Again, low power consumption, long range, depending on what you're where you're operating. Limitations is it's a 228 character limit per message text only as defaults. You're thinking you're kind of doing Twitter or I guess old style Twitter. And again, line of sight dependent since this is low frequency radio is highly impacted by physical circumstances. The only caveat here is that, again, standard operation requires no license. There is high power transmission capabilities in here, as we'll kind of see. Please don't change the decibel reading of this. Worst case scenario, you'll get a fun phone call or letter from the FCC or something like that. But really, this just is for differentiating between low power and high power transmission, which may require amateur radio license, registered call sign. You actually have to put it into your device configuration. But again, I'm not a lawyer. Check local regulations before you modify any of the power settings. Don't worry, defaults are completely safe. So as long as you don't do it intentionally, you're completely fine. Some use cases we've seen across the United States is one in Wyoming where ranchers have deployed 30 nodes. Wyoming is fairly flat and open, so these 30 nodes cover over 2,000 square miles of territory, relaying things like weather alerts and emergency and coordinating emergency activities, usually pertaining to weather, because you can attach things like environmental sensors, full weather stations to these nodes and relay that data across the mesh as well. This also provided rural connectivity without cell coverage since, again, I attach this to the back of my phone. They can attach it to any device or just carry it with them, and they can connect to the mesh and communicate with anybody also participating in the same mesh. Here in Texas, we have specific communities in Austin. There's in North Texas, out in El Paso as well. The one I have been most frequent in is the Central Texas Mesh, which hosts a Discord channel. It seems like most of the, Austin, North Texas, El Paso, East Texas as well, kind of uses that as a central hub. It's fairly active, but there are individual communities you can get involved in. Another one we saw was the Australian bushfire response, where it coordinated firefighting teams and even air response. These are in, vast desert areas. We actually had damaged repeaters. They had some infrastructure already, but due to the fires, the repeaters are actually damaged. But they actually have ones that you just basically, as you're walking, you just drop and then kind of don't even expect to pick it up. But they'll last 1 to 2 weeks out there. This also coordinated emergency evacuation management, so they could direct people to the right exit roads and zones due to the harsh conditions in the area. There is a local group website there for you that lists all of the active groups and where, I guess, where they're communicating, whether that's a website, Discord, or other means. Some future-looking specialized applications that we've also seen. The Mars Society at the Desert Research Station out in Utah used a modified/integrated system with their EVA link system for astronaut communications out in the desert out in Utah. This enabled, remote area safety. Again, it's just disconnected from the primary utility and communication systems and could relay some of the specific field science information, again, weather, temperature, humidity, that kind of thing. There's the Android. I always forget what tech is, but it's a tactical assistance kit or something like that. It is the Android-specific software that can be linked up with Meshtastic. That is a coordinated software platform that allows first responders or other emergency personnel to coordinate response and communications over a broad network. It's Android-specific, so if you're an iPhone, sorry, but if you do have an Android and you do backpacking or any, I guess, remote leisure activities, something maybe to look into because it's a good backup system for either yourself or others. There's also great STEM projects, as you kind of see, because it's very low barrier to entry for things like scout group safety on backpacking trips, or STEM education, where we're talking about what is a mesh network, how do mesh networks work, and how do we maybe relay information from, again, weather or other environmental factors or metrics across these devices. Some more maybe that we can hit closer to home is if you're at DEF CON, it's kind of got what started me on the Meshtastic train. So thanks, Francisco and Josh, for getting me into, I think I have 10 Meshtastic devices sitting around me right now. So excellent use of my time lately. But in DEF CON, and I think I should have said 2025. Sorry, we had over 2,000 simultaneous nodes. They call it largest single deployment there, but we picked up some mesh nodes. It had a custom flash firmware, basically on a short, to what they call short turbo mode. Basically, how broad do you want your antenna to broadcast to? Since this is a very dense populated area, the configuration for that channel was short turbo. But this was auto-configured. So once you bought it at DEF CON, they gave you a QR code, you scanned, you got into the DEF CON channel, and we were chatting with, everybody from the community across DEF CON on an encrypted channel. We could use it for things like municipal disaster planning, as we've seen not only from multiple hurricanes, but in rural areas, but also things like festivals, like EDC Vegas, where we have over 140,000 attendees. I know that there's a small mesh network that also happens at Burning Man because of these, people around need to communicate, and there's really no infrastructure to be able to support them. So if you do want to join up here local to the Texas area, here's some links and references to the current Austin, North Texas, Central Texas, and East, El Paso mesh. But again, if you want to get an easy way in and just kind of watch the flow, the Central Texas mesh Discord is the place to go there. This will all be posted afterwards as well. So if you want to jot down links or wait till afterwards. But jumping into the meat of it, if you received a kit, otherwise these are extremely inexpensive to purchase. Should you want more or, get bit by the habit like I did, you'll get one of these two kits. So you get the top one with the white case or the bottom one with, I guess, the more eggshell white case with the green sticker on it that says Heltec on it. They are both the exact same board. The only difference here is obviously the case, and one has a hard antenna option. They're going to operate exactly the same connections. So regardless, we're doing the exact same steps. Let's see. Oh, and I'm also being told there is a link in the description of this session, so you can get a direct access. You don't have to go searching or anything like that. What I will say is, if you are super awesome, this is the Heltec V3 that we're doing, the third iteration. Heltec version 4 just got released a couple weeks ago. I don't even have one yet, so if you do go to buy one, maybe go find a version 4. They're slightly better. But it came with the main board up here with it's based on an ESP32 chip. If you're familiar with ESP32s, it includes an OLED display, a low range frequency transceiver, There's an internal Wi-Fi antenna. The antennas that you see in the picture and in the kit are actually the LoRa antennas. It also has an internal Bluetooth antenna and a LoRa antenna connector on it. I'll point that out in a minute. There's a USB-C port as well as a terminals to connect a battery to. It has two buttons. One is boot and the other one is reset. The easiest is one is, if you think about an old Nintendo, if I'm going to bring up that, start and select, right? Like one will actually hit the next button and the other one just resets the device. So if your device is resetting, it's the other button. So kind of going over it, here's the breakdown of the hardware. Again, screen, you see the little 2.4 gigahertz antenna. It's a little coil next to the screen. We get the two buttons surrounding the USB. And then on the opposite side, there's a little bitty plug here that is the LoRa antenna IPEX port. And then you can see the version tag. It should say version 3.2 on it. So on the back, there's a bunch more other stuff, hardware-based, and the ESP32 chip, crystals and stuff. If you really want to dig in there, there's a full architectural diagram here. What I will say for now is and I'll try to go through this with you, is without the device plugged in, if you have it plugged in already, undo that. Let's go ahead and start from scratch, everybody. But take your device and take one of the antennas, really any one at this point in time, because we'll put them in the case way later, so don't worry about that. So antenna and device, and there's a little, right next to the green flap, there's a little button so you can push in the antenna. Go ahead and connect your antenna. And why we're doing this now when it's off power is sometimes you can short out these boards by doing what they call a hot swap on that antenna. So try not to mess with the antenna connection while the device is powered on. Many of us have burnt up these trying to do that. Doesn't happen all the time, but just a good precaution. So while you're doing that, let's explain why we chose the Heltec V3. Meshtastic is an open source framework. This is not the only piece of hardware kit that supports it. There's a ton of stuff out there with varying price points. The Heltec V3 we chose because it is an all-in-one form factor. It comes with the screen. It comes with the antennas. You just hook up power to it and it kind of just goes. It does, again, have the built-in display. Other ones typically have them as options. It has good power efficiency, not great, but good enough for us. And usually you're going to have it plugged in anyways. We did not provide a battery because of shipping and a bunch of other stuff, but you can connect this to any style of, I guess, LiPo or other batteries as well. This is good for just starting out because you can connect it and it goes. Costs about $20 depending on the version and your supplier. Alternatives, Rack Wireless has what they call their WizBlock range. This is modular, so they basically have a baseboard and everything else can be connected to it, including their primary Meshtastic communication chip. So you can build these out in a bunch of different ways. These are good for more advanced applications, including solar. You can get them for as cheap as $28 if you buy the bare minimum, but they'll go $60 plus depending on your configuration, IO boards and such. I actually have in package right now, but I have my solar node right here. You can see on the bottom here with big old beefy antenna. So that's what's in here is a rack block. The other one is a T-beam. These are a little bit more expensive and more on the hobbyist tech side of things. They're anywhere between 36 and $50, depending on which model you get. Some of them have keyboards. They're meant for like really more of that mobile tracking daily use type of thing. They have good power efficiency only because they typically have a bunch of add-on devices to them. The base module does not include a display, but you can add them. Obviously, these are modular, really up to that price point. And I believe all of these are GPS integrated. The big thing you'll see with Meshtastic is GPS takes, a substantial amount of power to be able to lock on, communicate. So some of the base nodes will not have GPS in it. Good news is you can use things like your phone to actually add the GPS data to a connected node. You can set a static position and a couple other things as well. So today we're using Heltec V3 for our application. From a privacy standpoint, we mentioned encryption up to AES 256. There is a default public channel, which has no encryption. You can create your own private channels or join others' private channels. As long as basically the name and the key matches, you'll be able to join and communicate over that mesh. Things that are not protected is your node ID, so your node name that is broadcast, any metadata, and if your GPS location is enabled, it will transmit it. It is protected in a sense, but it is only protected against where you have encrypted channels. So if you do it over the public mesh, it's not protected. It will communicate the GPS location encrypted over alternative channels as well. So. All right, so quick prerequisites. If you've got your little antenna connected, if whatever device you have, Android, Apple, or even on, I guess I don't know if Windows or PCs have them, but MacBooks do have the Meshtastic app. Go ahead and download that. We should have our Heltec V3 with our antenna attached. Hopefully you have a USB-C cable to connect to this, but please don't connect it yet. And a browser and a computer ready so that you can connect it. And I'm going to try to watch chat here, but again, please kind of just raise your hand, speak up if you encounter any issues. Cool. All right, so step one. Let's go to flasher.meshtastic.org. See. Here we are. Cool. So flasher.meshtastic.org. You should get this screen. All right, now, again, antenna connected. You can connect your device. And I'm going to see if I can get a slightly better angle here so you can see me do this along with you. Perfect. Maybe a little bit small, but cool. So I'm actually turn this thing on. You can see it says things like LoRa mode, 0. It'll do a little scan of Wi-Fi. I'll start starting up. This is how you can tell your device has not been flashed yet. In Flasher, we want to click select target device. We want to go auto detect and then find your device that you've connected. If you don't know which one it is, go ahead and disconnect it and then reconnect it, and it will show up on the device screen. What I will do is I'm going to pivot here because I think I've got a video for it. So walk through this and I'll show you a video. So just in case. So yeah, go to flasher.meshtastic.org, connect your data cable. Then you will select either auto, and it should auto do it if you select the device in your USB, or you can go to Heltec Wi-Fi LoRa 32 V3. It's a device in the long list. There's a filter at the top that says Heltec that will help you. For the firmware, you want to click the drop down. It should auto select, but if not, make sure you have the latest beta. Please don't do alpha. I won't be able to answer any questions about that because everything's beta at this point, and going alpha, frankly, scares even me. And then at the very end, click flash, and a screen will pop up that says, do you want to flash this? You want to click erase and install. I can play. Please, cool. Okay. So again, here, go to auto detect. You select your device. There's the Heltec V3. The firmware should auto select 2.6.11, the latest beta. Then click flash. And then it may give you a bunch of stuff, but scroll down to the bottom, click continue. And then here, keep everything default on flash firmware. Go ahead and click yes, full erase and install. And then erase flash and install. If you did it right, it will show this connecting, running, W running, erasing flash, and then it will start counting up with percentages, writing 1%, 2%, and keep going from there. Awesome. I'm gonna take a quick pause, check the chat, make sure everybody's still doing gravy. This flash will take 2 to 3 minutes, maybe, depending on your device. Again, chat's here available, Q&A and everything. Raise your hand, speak up. I'm not finding my device. Okay, so if it does not find your device, again, the easiest thing to do is when you click, when you get the little selection for which of the devices. If you unplug the cord and plug it back in, it should like dump one device and then add it back to tell you which one you connected. The other thing, unplug it. You're really having issues. The last ditch effort. Unplug it, hold the reset button, plug it in, and then let go of the reset button. That should force it into flashing mode. Okay, I'm hearing you may have to have a driver in some instances. Usually these things are native, but to each their own as far as technology goes. Yeah, if you're having issues, please reach out. Zeros on display. Okay, so Fulcrum zeros on display, you should be fine to do this. Sometimes it's really just turn it off and turn it back on again, just disconnect it, that kind of thing. Sometimes does it for me. Some devices, depending on the model, will or will not automatically go into flashing mode. And there's not a great way to tell if it's in that mode. So you kind of just have to play with it. Awesome. All right, so we'll give a couple seconds to let flashing come through. I did want to show you some of the applications that I've seen. We've gone over some use cases and stories and stuff like that. Personally, I'm on like discovery of, I think this is like cool. You can communicate individually over this like distributed, I guess, separate mesh network. I also like tinkering, so I've built 3D prints of a bunch of ones. So here's here's one in a little tiny form factor. This does have GPS in the top of it, so this one only lasts maybe 12 hours. Here's a much bigger one, bigger antenna. You can add things to this. This one has a rotary dial so that I can actually scroll through some settings. There's things like called canned messages, which are basically like presets that you can scroll to and then send out. So you can get on your phone and type all you want to, but directly from the device, you can actually have some low-level forms of communication. This also has a buzzer in it and an environmental sensor as well. I've shown you the one that's on in my solar array in my backyard. I've shown you the one that I have on my phone. It's kind of like my daily driver. But they also have come out with these. This is called a WizBlock tag. I think that's the name that they've given it now. It's gone through a couple iterations. They just shipped their second shipment of these from the factory. This is akin to a industry identification tag. So if you do work in, I guess, well, critical infrastructure, or if you have highly protected areas, this is sometimes given to plant workers and stuff as a backup means of identification and location. I chunked this in my luggage. And I can track my luggage. It's kind of like an AirTag. If you're familiar with AirTags communicating, it can ping somebody else's iPhone. Very similar. Obviously, different technology, different mesh. But yeah, chunk this in my bag. I can track my bag. I did it on a trip across the country. And it's cool because I can make sure it's here. It'll show me it's on the tarmac and stuff, and I can ping it in the I guess trace route really in the belly of the airplane, which is slightly comforting. Sorry you're having trouble, Bill. I can only say like let's try restarting it a couple more times, and there's be time at the end. Maybe we can dig in one-on-one if you need some help. All right. So assuming that we've got our thing flashed now, it will set it with a default name. But how you will find it is open up your Meshtastic app. The default page will be this Connect app where it will show you the available radios. Okay, I'm gonna take a quick pause here. So give me 2 seconds, Jensen. I will get back to the chat here. So open up the Meshtastic app. The device will show up. It probably will be the only Bluetooth device that you have on your page there. It will, I think, just show as Meshtastic _ and then 4 digits, depending on the ID default within the device. click that, a code will pop up to pair, and the numbers will pop up on the OLED screen of the device. Pair it to your phone, and you will be connected at that point. Quick sidebar: there's a quick discussion in the chat. If you're on Windows and don't have the drivers, go ahead and install those drivers. So thank you, Christopher, for calling that out. It is 1,000,000% my fault for doing all this on a Mac. So appreciate the support there. This is very lightweight in terms of setup. So if we need to come back, it will take just a couple seconds. If you can get through the flashing part, it should be pretty. From then on out, we'll circle back around. So once you're connected to your device, bottom right of your phone app will be the settings tab. Go and click on that, and you'll get this little screen here. You'll need to click on two different things. So, well, technically, sorry, three different things. So settings here on the left-hand side, we need to click on LoRa. And that LoRa config will allow you to set your region, which we need to select United States. Leave the bottom things, ignore MQTT, OK MQTT, disable those. If they already, we want transmit enabled. Here's that default number of hops that we talked about. The next one you probably want to do is channels. So channels will show you how you create channels. Don't copy this. If you want to try to type the key right now, like good luck to you. I'm about to give it to you in a second, but we're going to add our channel. And the last thing is under user. So user config is this first thing. You'll want to name your device. You can give it two names, actually, a long name and a short name. Short name's only 4 characters, 4 bytes, but the long name can be up to 36 bytes. So I have, my JON FCON, and I just called mine FCON as the lead mesh boss of our chat today. You can also see under here, there's unmessageable and licensed operator. Unmessageable means that this is the thing that doesn't respond. It's basically like a no reply email address. These are good for things like relays, like my node in my backyard. I don't directly message from that node. It's not a source for that. So anybody directly messaging my relay is going to go pretty much nowhere. And then if you are a licensed operator, you can check this box here, and you can boost your power, and it will ask you to enter your handle as well. Cool. So the biggest things to get out of this are, please go set your region to United States. It'll force you to do that. The rest of the preset should be fine. And then go update the name of your device. That's the only two things we need to get out of this is region, long and short name. Like how I just... Okay. Cool. All right. So once you have that, we're going to give you the channel here in a second, but you can see here we're connected to the device, my JON FCON device. If you go to the nodes screen, you may see nodes popping up, but just go over the dashboards of the app. The node screen does show you any of your connected nodes, either directly connected or indirectly. One thing to note here is that this does rely on underlying metric servers to actually relay some of the events. So even if you are not relaying directly to a connected low frequency radio node, you can actually like augment it with standard internet, which is both good and bad. Let's see. Now, if you've gotten this far, here is our FCON private channel. The easiest thing to do is if you configured your app with your phone, just scan this QR code. What I will say is if you're super advanced, this is replace. So we'll give you a public channel and our FCON channels. So if you have an existing device, please don't use the QR code. Please use the channel name if you're adding this to an existing device, or you will lose your channels. And I'm sending all those emails directly to spam. If you do get lost, or if you need to get the actual key for any reason, it is just the base 64, a mutation of Fulcrum F-Con 2025, as you see down here at the bottom. So in case the mumbo jumbo, gets fat fingered or something like that, you can always convert it for your own use. Cool. Give a little pause here. I'm gonna open up my stuff and make sure we can communicate this. Let's see. And yeah, Bill, you're 1,000,000% correct. Erase and install is absolutely good. Really, because they get created with, I think it's like a testing firmware that's not pure Meshtastic. And so we actually want to flash Meshtastic on there. Cool. And Spencer, for your question, the channel will remain. The mesh will live on in prosperity even without us. I call it 2025 just because I thought about maybe just opening up for FCON. Maybe we'll change it in the future and it'll just be FCON for perpetuity. But yeah, it will definitely remain, and I hope that people use it past FCON to connect over Meshtastic. I know that there's a large communities, even of friends I have in the Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, El Paso areas, and even the more, center rural areas as well. All right, so hopefully you've gotten this far. We're able to join our private channel. We do have obviously encryption enabled on this private channel so that we can communicate privately. What I sure. Cool. Let me go back to screen. This is what you should see. You should see in your channels, you have primary channel and FCON. Again, the primary channel is unencrypted. It basically just blasts out to every connected node. Everybody can read that. Great for community. Everything else probably needs to be more private. You'll see varying degrees of encryption on some of these community networks. We should also see the FCON 2025 channel here as well. Hopefully you'll see some of the nodes start to populate as well. You'll see it in two different ways. So you can see the direct nodes here, I guess directly in the nodes tab here. You can sort these. So usually signal good and there's no number here. That means it is directly connected. Sometimes you won't see a signal, which means it's potentially indirectly connected or connected via MQTT. Again, I mentioned that there's like a underlying network protocol that supplements this. Called MQTT. Basically, you can leverage your phone to communicate back over the internet back into the mesh. It's a little bit quirky. There's a divide in the community between whether that's, I mean, it's not technically over the mesh at that point, right? You're using these other routes, but because of the relatively small, I guess, footprint that these can have, I mean, 50 kilometers at its broadest is not a massive, I guess, distance comparatively speaking. That we want to be able to maybe communicate over alternative networks to ensure that we're connecting as a backup. So pure Meshtastic people don't really like the network, but it is what it is. Especially it gets us connected to all these broader nodes you can see here spread across the state. And this is not all of them; these are just the ones I've been able to capture in my 200 node cap.
John, did you set up an MQTT gateway for this?
No.
No. We could all use the darknet gateway.
Yeah, I honestly I wanted to see how close people are because I'm hoping we get close enough that people are just intrinsically connecting. Also wanted low hardware footprint for this. Let's see. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and send out.
I hear like 3 people on the north side of the lake up here. I don't
That's
see
cool.
much. I don't see many nodes at all.
Really. They just put up I think it's a 200-meter node in Waco. So I think that's the broadest single node coverage in the state of Texas right now.
I got my old helium antenna up on top of my tower. I guess I could connect the node to it. Probably ought to.
Nice. If anybody's to this spot, go ahead and open that FCON channel and type some stuff. Say hello, see if you can get any responses. Just kind of set expectations. All of us are not going to get in the same channel, right? We're too distributed to be in the same mesh. It'll take a little bit for the device itself to start connecting out to the nodes, maybe 15 to 20 minutes to get started here. So this is a slow build as it kind of builds out, kind of like route, right? As it finds connected devices. So slowly see nodes connecting here. And you'll slowly see the node map populate as well. But I will say, if you see anything with a node that is named Top Gear. That's mine. So feel free to send me a message and say hey. If you're having issues, Jacob, you can always reflash, and hopefully the reboot didn't impact it, but it could be easy to troubleshoot. Awesome. So coming in the last couple of minutes here, obviously behind line of sight, we've talked about things like the MQTT bridge that we can use to get broader. This is hopefully enabling you to connect to your local mesh and local communities. Obviously trade-offs here is that between the local mesh, we can extend as far as all these radios will, whereas an MQTT bridge does require internet. And because of the alternative channels, there's privacy considerations to consider. If you do want to improve on the devices, you can go absolutely crazy with these. Obviously, again, solar stuff, environmental sensors, bigger antennas for boost. You can coordinate with your network and neighbors to create larger repeater networks or rooftop installations or IoT sensors. Obviously, there's the tactical kit from Android. That if you do, go out into the wilderness, that's like the de facto standard for search and rescue right now. There's also a Meshtastic site planner tool that you can pull up and say, hey, if I put up X node with such power at this height in my city or in my town or something like that, how wide of reach would I be able to get? That's good in understanding like what your area of influence would be. But I guess I'll open up to questions here. Again, my LinkedIn's here, so feel free to reach out and connect with me and send me some messages. Or even better, connect with me over Meshtastic and find one of my nodes and ping me there. But thanks so much for joining my talk today. Hope you had fun with Meshtastic and communicate with some of your local people and engage with the community. Any questions before we kind of wrap things up today? Did everybody kind of make it through? Is anybody stuck? Where are we at? Colin wants a recap. Cool. So Colin, real quick, it's a mesh low frequency radio device. If you want to go through the slides, it'll help you set it up and connect to our private channel so you can get engaged with the community. Otherwise, just ping out to public and see what happens. Definitely get involved in the community, but let's do the fun part. Cool.
John, did sorry, did you mention the Houston mesh? There's a Houston mesh Discord.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
The Houston Meshtastic enthusiasts.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I
have their own
MQTT server. Well, sweet. That means we need to join forces because I've been mostly active in that central one because I was on the East Texas and then tried North Texas, and then everybody seems to have been focusing on the central one, at least for activity. I'll check that out though.
Yeah, Cypress one too.
Yep. And John Allen, they're absolutely susceptible to interference.
Jim, do you have a link for the Houston one?
Trying to get to it. And I don't know, John, did you explain that? So part of my talk, I'm going to go over the LoRa protocol. I'm going to actually show the differences of the below the noise protocols like LoRa and how they work. So
awesome. Nope,
that'll play into your talk. So you guys
1,000,000% complimentary.
What I'm talking about.
That is awesome. So for those of you on that don't know, Jim is doing our ham radio session. That's the Baofeng device that was in your kit. So yeah, I love that tie-in. Thank you, Jim.
Perfect.
Yeah, I posted
QR codes up
in the chat.
Thanks, Charlie. Yeah, it's been fun. I've been dragging this thing around and ever since DEF CON on my travels, and everywhere I've gone, there's been a community of people that are always just like, hey, morning mesh. It's really awesome to see. Well, cool. Well, hope everybody enjoyed the session today and you're able to get your Meshtastic going. If not, again, reach out, rewatch the slides or rewatch the recording. But hope you're having a good DEF CON, and we will see you in the next session. Thanks, everybody.
If you hold on just a second, I just posted the Houston Discord server.
Perfect.
The Houston Mesh Discord link. I think I'll let you invite. I think.
Okay. Yeah, make sure you grab that. Cool. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.